Yo, it's Guido coming at you with Tactics Talk. Welcome back. Thanks for tuning in. I've got a good one here. This is from Avalon304. He's in his Centurian 7/1, which is a British Tier 9 medium tank. And you will notice he has 3 marked. Avalon is a regular on the forums. Very good player. Obviously, he's 3 marked a Tier 9 tank, which I have not even done. And here he goes on, where are we? I always have to look. Serene Coast. Spawned into the north spawn. He's headed over here to the northwest. Initially looks like he's going to go ahead and scream up to the hill there, but he doesn't have a lot of help. It's him, a 1357 and a KV-13. He is top tier in a 357. That's very good, but he's going to be cautious right here. For me, I'd have moved right up there, but I have not 3 marked the 7-1 or /1. And this is one of those things, if you are going to be a very good player, I mean at the top of your game, 3 marking tanks at the Tier 9 and Tier 10 level, you need to be carefully aggressive. You need to be carefully aggressive. You'll see that he's shooting Hesh initially, gets some decent damage at 130, but it doesn't pen, so that's the game mechanic of Hesh. It will do some damage typically, but if it doesn't pen, it's not going to get you that big damage. That's the trade-off. But what he did is he hung out there for just a second, husbanding hit points and kind of finding out what's going on. And since the enemy didn't really push a whole bunch of guys up there, and that KV-13 and 1357 managed to keep them stuffed a little bit, he moves up, got decent mobility on this tank, and here he comes. So he switches over to AP. Puts a shot right into the back of the Mutts. 1357 distracts. He takes advantage, gets in there and gets a shot, and now we're looking at a KV-6. Carefully lets the 1357 go by. He's reloaded, now he's looking for a shot, and he's going to pick a nice shot right on this guy's turret into the top of the hatch. Good accuracy on this tank. He understands the tank, knows what he can do with it. Nice job. He takes 2 hit points. Looks like he was going for a track there, but didn't happen. 2 hit points from the AT-7, who is shooting HE. Looks like initially going for the hatch, then going for the lower plate, and maybe trying to switch to the lower plate. Now he's going to put it right into the hip right here. Boom, and down goes. And that's all great shot placement. All things you need to be able to do if you're going to 3 mark a tank. Now he's taking some hits from guys in the back there. It's just him. The 1357 and KV-13 are dead. And most people at this point would just simply keep on pushing. Like, oh, I'm winning the flank. Here I go. Let's go kill these guys. I'm top tier. Dear. Well, let's watch what Avalon does. Avalon is going to go back. He's got a problem over on the island or over on the peninsula. They're pushing through the IS and the JP, and he's got a lot of guys camping in the back near his cap. So he's going to fall back to where their guns are. I probably would have pushed in thinking I'm the big man and I'm going to kill all these guys over here. I like to think I would eventually turn back around once I killed some of them. But I think this was a great plan right here, turning around and coming back. So easy in this game to get overconfident and overextend, especially as top tier, thinking you've got everything sorted. But even 2 or 3 tier 7s are going to take down this thing pretty quickly if they have enough hit points to take a hit or 2. You simply can't defend from multiple directions if they're circling. Now, I saw this while I was watching the replay. There's a bulldog zinging in here, and it takes, I think, a little while for Avalon to notice what's going on, or maybe he's ignoring it. I might have stopped right about here and seen if I couldn't take care of this guy. It looks like he notices him right there. Decides, nah, they've got him. And then changes his mind, comes back around. So probably had he stopped much earlier and investigated that, he'd have had a shot earlier on this bulldog and killed this guy off before he even got that far. In any event, he gets rid of him. Or his team gets rid of him. And now he's moving up here to deal with what's going to be a pretty good push. Looks like 3 or 4 tanks coming his way. Takes a quick look here, and he's going to move to another forward position. And what he does is he actually shifts over here, and this is just understanding maps and map knowledge. This position is okay for hold down, but over here is even better. And with the depression of this tank's gun, this is a great spot to start taking on guys that are down in this bowl. The only problem with this spot over this spot is this one's a little more exposed to artillery. And I will say one thing for Avalon this game. For some reason, the artillery simply decided to ignore him the vast majority of the game, which he's going to take advantage of. And that's what you do. You take advantage. That's a nice placement right into that guy's turret. That's just knowledge of the game, weak spots. Minimizes the exposure to his tank and hits a weak spot with a very accurate gun. this tank, the Oni, is pretty much all a weak spot to the pin on this Centurion. He's going to have a hard time bouncing it. Just comes up, takes him down, bounces. Very good turret on the Centurion 7-1. That's a good understanding of your tank, and just picking these guys apart right into the plate, down he goes. So they make short work of that push, other than the 100.01. Other than the 100.01. Hey, here's a question, folks. What is the best tech tree tank? The best performing tech tree tank at tier 8 heavy? I give you one guess. Give you one guess. This one, the 100.01, actually has the best win rate on NA of the tier 8 tech tree heavy tanks. You surprised? I was when I found out. It's a pretty good tank. Now we're getting a little more careful, and that's the problem. That top hatch is very big, but it's very round, and I'll tell you what, it is not easy to pin unless you get it dead center like he's doing now. He had a couple that went off to the side a little bit. You can see you've got the lightweight and the AT-7 pushing in behind him. And it's just taking a while to get rid of all the hit points on this 100.01. Charioteer finally gets in and starts helping. And he's really doing the fire brigade thing here. Puts another 384 on the 100.1. Challenger finally gets in there and gets rid of him. There we go. First one up to the northwest and dealt with what they had up there. Repositioned back, dealt with that push. Now he's headed back over to the northwest to deal with what's going on over here. When he sent me the replay, said, hey, there's a couple mistakes that nearly cost me the game, and so far I hadn't really seen it, but we're going to get into those here in just a minute. Look at his hit points. He's done 4,487, blocked 1,000, 742 assists, but he's still got most of his hit points. He's taken one hit. And again, just very surprised the artillery hasn't focused him at all. Clearly was busy shooting other people. Here we go. And dives back. Now the artillery had just gone in a little while ago. I may have pushed right at that LT and not accepted that shot into his turret and gone after him. However, not a bad decision, because there's other guys out there. So discretion was the better part of valor in that case. And that is, again, another discussion of why he has 3 marks on this tank. Careful aggression is so important in making sure that you remain in the battle for longer, so that you can get more hit points. Challenger's getting roughed up. So he comes after the lightweight right here, knows he's got to go get him, and unfortunately a little bit rough shot, but the T-29 is threatening. And a lightweight, and it looks like he just figures, hey, I got to get rid of this lightweight, because he's tearing up the Challenger, and unfortunately ends up getting the Challenger dead. So really, for me, I probably would have been more aggressive getting in there and making sure the lightweight went out, even if I took one hit from the T-29 to preserve the Challenger. But again, it goes back to that careful aggression thing. Now we mess around with this guy a little bit, and we start heading off to the south, when I think if you had gone north, you'd have had a better time getting your gun depression over that track. But the wild card obviously is the artillery and how long it takes to take down this T-29, who's at similar hit points to Avalon and does a similar amount of damage with not too different of a reload. Avalon's got him a little bit on the reload, but it's not too different. And they both hit about as hard as each other. And the 53-55 gets the IS, and that's rough. And Avalon drives on a rock. That happens. And he finds this guy and gets a free shot that's not returned. That works out nicely. And then I think this is one of the bigger mistakes right here. He kind of charges in at this guy. I think I would have just hung out here. This guy's going nowhere. Hung out here, maybe side scraped a little bit on this rock, or come tucked up into this rock and forced a little bit of side scrape action. But he's going to get in tight with him, maybe trying to dissuade the artillery from hitting him. Artillery will have a slightly harder time hitting him down in here. So maybe another option was to just get down in here, but just not get so close. We're going to actually come in here, and unfortunately we muff this shot a little bit. Goes a little low. Try to get around. Now we got the T-29 ramming us, and he gets 346 out of us. Backing off. T-29 realizes he's got to get in there. Now he's 2-marked that T-29. I believe it is a 2-mark, right? Yep. So this is not a bad player. And Avalon's lost a bunch of hit points. In fact, he's going to get another hit here before he can do anything about it. Right into the ooh, man. And almost rammed himself to death. Had he had enough speed, maybe that would have happened. So that was a bit rough. Taking down one tier 7 cost him most of the rest of his hit points. So the T-29 played that pretty well, about as well as he could against a 2-tier higher medium right there. So I think a little more discretion there. I feel like maybe he felt like he owned this guy a little more than he really did. And I've done that a lot myself. Hides a little bit from artillery, and now here we go. Now the 53-55 is, with a hit, is going to kill Avalon, and he's also going to kill the IS-3A. So if they're not careful, if somehow it gets a shot off and kills one of them, and is able to survive the 30-something seconds it takes to reload, they could be in a bit of trouble right here. They really don't want to get caught right next to each other. That would suck. Don't give the 53-55 a bombardier and kill them both off. Avalon's kind of moving in towards the cap right here. You would expect to find it somewhere back here by the cap, maybe behind those rocks, waiting for someone to get on cap, and then attempt to come around the corner and get a shot off. Hope for a fairly low roll from one of these tanks, and maybe get it shot, survive the hit, and maybe get it shot off before it dies. Although with the IS-3A reloading, it'd have to do that pretty quickly before the IS-3A shot it again. So we're hanging out right here. He doesn't jump on the cap. The IS-3A posts up against this rock, or below this rock to the north there. Not really sure what he's doing. Avalon's sitting here waiting. He doesn't want to jump on cap. That lets him know they're there. If they're going to jump on cap, you'd like both of them just to get on. And then he decides, all right, let's just force this guy out. And you're looking at 4 minutes and 6 seconds. The IS-3A is really not to be trusted. He's played a really poor game. Didn't do a whole bunch. Hung out near the cap. So it looks like Avalon's just going to have to take this on himself. And initially when I saw him move forward and he was looking this way, I'm like, what are you doing, man? Stay there. Look this way. That guy, the enemy's coming from this way. Why are you looking behind you? And then I noticed, oh, wait a minute. He saw it before I did. The enemy artillery has got on the cap. All right, so let's take a look at this real quick. That's where the enemy artillery is. That's the direction the shot's coming from. So the safest spot to be is tucked up underneath this rock right here. That's going to be very hard for him to splash right there, considering he's somewhere on this green circle, attempting to fire this way. You make the gun line look straight at it, and this is the place to be right here. The IS-3A, I'm not going to worry about what Avalon's doing with the camera, because this IS-3A drones on in very slowly. Obviously, if they get 2 on cap, they're going to cap faster, and they'll easily beat the 53-55. The one thing they have to watch for is exposing themselves to the random shots. In fact, I think there's one coming in here pretty soon, if there hasn't. Yep, there it is. So the 53-55 fired in. So he's got 30 seconds. He's going to be able to reload one more time, 38 or 5 or whatever it is. And the IS-3 is over there. All right? If you had any brains whatsoever, and thought about it for just a minute, you'd have come around this corner, hugged this, and jumped on right here, right behind Avalon. And kept yourself already safe. But what does this guy do? He's over here. He's just driving around. I thought he was coming. I'm like, okay, great. Maybe he figured it out. Nope, didn't figure it out. That is probably still a fairly difficult shot, but it's certainly much easier than where Avalon is. And maybe if you splash over here, you actually splash this bozo. Now, with the time left, if he didn't kill him, with the time left, they'd have still outcapped the guy. But that's just exposing yourself for no reason. And now that the cap has accelerated, they may actually be inside his reload time. I don't know if another shot comes in here. And then he fires. I don't. You almost want that shell right now to come in and take the IS-3 out and teach him a lesson. That's what I was hoping for. 6,246 damage, 1,320 blocks, 742 assist with a 7 kill as a Centurion 7-1. A tank that's not largely considered a great tank by the majority of players, but the good players know that this is actually a really fantastic Tier 9 medium. I wouldn't say it's on the hover medium scale necessarily, the 430Us and things like that, but it is a rather flexible, very good, and in the right conditions, hold down, especially like you saw today, very good. And if Artie ignores you, then high five everybody and shoot 6,246 damage while you go. That's not taking anything away from the nice positioning and movement on the game. And of course, the end game messing around with that T-29 almost caught him. Kudos to the T-29 for a well-fought brawl right there. He almost got Avalon. Almost. It shows how important sometimes just one missed shot can be. All right, guys, thanks for tuning in. I appreciate you. Avalon, thanks for sending this in. Quality replay. Hopefully I saw the mistake you were talking about. If I didn't, fix me down in the comments, and we will see you.